Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eat the Cake Anime, a podcast where we talk about our love of anime and other topics from a mature perspective as people of color. I'm your host, Renee, and as I said, this is the very first Eat the Cake Anime episode. This podcast started off basically as something that my husband Ron and I were kind of throwing around. We have a love of anime. We have a shared love of anime that runs so deep, you guys. It's actually how we met and how we ended up getting married. So we have gone on different platforms looking for like-minded people. We are of a more mature age. We are in our 40s and trying to find like-minded individuals with the same love for anime and cartoons that we have has been pretty difficult. But we have found a couple of small communities and where we talk about anime, cartoons, things that we love, which is kind of hard to do with the world being like it is and with people's interests being so diverse. A little bit about myself. I am from South Georgia and I grew up everything all about us. Great family, loving parents, fantastic siblings, and I was always the outlier, meaning that my brother and I have 3 sisters and a brother, and one of the things that my brother and we loved was, of course, watching cartoons, coming home after school, watching things, everything from DuckTales to Silverhawks to Thundercats, things like that of course you watched during that time. As we got older, going into high school, there were different things that we loved to do, different activities, being in the band, playing sports, things of that nature. But one thing never changed, and that was our love of cartoons, including our love for anime. When Dragon Ball Z came out, we were blown away. And I was in high school. My brother was in middle school, and we had gotten started back in 1990. So in 1990, I was in 9th grade. And one of the things that we found, my brother and I, on the desktop computer that my parents bought, the AOL, doing the dial-up and everything, one of the things we discovered was an anime show called Baki the Grappler. And I don't think it was considered anime, at the time because it was so foreign to us. Think about it, you guys, 1990, desktop computers, AOL dial-up, the sounds and just trying to get connected and things like that. And to me, that just opened up a whole new world. I thought that Baki the Grappler series, looking back on it now, thank God for, different, animation and things of that nature. But it was so cool and so new and so fresh and so different that I just fell in love immediately. And as time progressed, once again, being a woman of color in the South, there's not a really big audience for anime. So trying to find people that like the same things I like, if it weren't guys, think about it. Back then, we didn't know what the term gatekeeping meant, but there were guys that loved D&D, they loved the video games, some loved anime, and trying to get into those little groups and talk about it, I felt like such a stranger because I was an outlier. Who's this girl that wants to discuss Baki or Dragon Ball Z, after every episode, going back to school and talking about it, it was difficult. So I kind of, shut it down, kept it to myself. As we got older, like I said, different interests, life happens, but one thing has never changed. That is my love for reading and anime. Getting into manga, comic books. Yeah, we started early. Manga, we didn't know that there was such terminology and a whole new world and, this and that. But upon that discovery, it just made me feel, honestly, like I had a place somewhere with my love for anime. So that's what this podcast is basically for. Just discussing it, things that you like, recommendations of different animes, some of the deep underlying topics that are involved in anime shows and manga. A lot of people don't know it's so much deeper than just, oh, you're watching cartoons. And I've gotten that. As I grew in my late teens, in my 20s, in my 30s, my close core friends, they know my love of cartoons. They know my love of anime. They don't really get it, but they respect it. And that's, why I love my friends so much. So it just so happens, Eat the Cake anime came about from one of my friends who was talking about how my husband and I met. And she was saying, you guys should do a podcast. Oh, that would be so fun, to tell your story, how we met and things like that. You guys, we met through an anime group. We met through an anime group during the pandemic. And my husband, who's Ron will be on, from time to time, to talk and share and things like that. And our friend, shout out to Zani, kept saying, oh, I have the perfect title. It's Eat the Cake anime. And we thought that was hilarious because, of course, we love movies. And, to get that, it just kind of all came together. And it was just such, a neat idea and something that we have been batting around, for a while. So with this first episode, I just wanted to, say hi. And I hope that we have content on here that you can find interesting, something that you can relate to. If you guys like to make recommendations, we are always here for it. We're going to be talking about some of the anime that I love, the meanings behind it, the purposes of it. Some we like, some we don't like. Of course, we will talk about my love of shonen. I love shonen, some isekai. My husband is all slice of life, all isekai, just certain things. We just love the different genres, and it has something for everyone. Anime has something for everyone. That's why I have always been baffled by the fact that people think that anime is just for kids or they're just cartoons. If you guys know, and I know you do, because otherwise you wouldn't be tuning in, think about those religious undertones. Think about the political messages that, they always have. So I thought it was very interesting. So with Eat the Cake anime, we are going to be breaking down some of these shows and the feelings that the shows invoke. How many of you guys have ever watched an anime and you just found yourself getting choked up? Or you find yourself yelling aloud at some revelation or something that's going on screen. Those are some of the reasons why I love anime so much. If we can just get past some of the things that are typical in some animes, like the yelling in the dub, oh my God, that's a whole episode. I prefer sub. My husband prefers dub. And it's simply a matter of me wanting to get lost in the story and, in the culture and, things like that. We are otakus. And for those who aren't familiar, an otaku is basically an anime enthusiast. We like all things, anime, from production to design to voices to storylines, everything. Because anime helps you see things in an entirely different perspective. Now, I have been amongst some communities where the weeb culture is strong. And for those who don't know, weebs are, they're anime enthusiasts, but sometimes they come from a place of, I don't want to say obnoxious, but since I've already said the word obnoxious, it comes from, to me, weebs have gatekeeping mentalities and are always testing. And as a woman of color, that's one of the reasons why we don't really feel welcome in these anime spaces. A Black woman mentioning, hey, you know what? I really like anime, or, oh, I'm familiar with that anime, can immediately turn an innocent statement like that, you guys, can immediately turn into, Oh, really? What do you know about Naruto? Or, who's your favorite, Dragon Ball character? Or, do you know who Frieza is? And it becomes this test, and it's so annoying. How many of you can relate? Let me know, because it's a thing, and it causes you to shut down and not want to share your love or share your interest. And I have been exposed to that so many times. The weeb culture, the incels, it is ridiculous. So that's one of the reasons why I mostly, honestly, shy away from social media and a lot of platforms, because you have guys and some females, they'll ask questions, or they'll say different things. Oh yeah, what do you know about this? Or what do you know about that? When you start deep diving and you start talking about like Black Clover or Blade Immortal or Hell's Paradise, they start looking at you like, oh, well, I guess, she does know. It's supposed to be a space for anime lovers where you can just talk about what you love, talk about what you don't like, what you wish, they can change, when we talk about the creation and storylines and things like that. So yeah, that's what Eat the Cake Anime is basically all about. And I hope that you can join me. You can chime in, make sure you tune in. It's going to be great. Like I said, the love of anime from a middle-aged woman's perspective, to me, is so different than watching a 12-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 22-year-old, break down the latest, episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. So I hope you guys will check me out and join my husband and I when we're on, because I think that it is going to be a great time talking about some of the things we love, how we got into it, why we love it, and we just hope you guys will join us. So thank you so much for listening today, and we will be back with more. Thanks again.